To have control in paddle is super important, and if you don't believe me, ask Paquito Navarro. If you want to buy a control paddle racket, today I'm gonna recommend you 5 that for me are the best. Hello tour players, I'm Pablo and I welcome you to a new 4Set. Let's start with the first one, that is the Head Speed Pro X. This racket has more control than any other racket, but it's not my favorite one, and later I will explain why. This racket is used by the great Chippy Muñoz and is made to have 100% control. It's the most exclusive and expensive version of the Speed range, which is Head's family of control rackets. Aras, for example, uses the Speed Motion. But this model incorporates 12K carbon and the power foam rubber, which, as we have said before, is the same rubber used in Coelho's racket. But why does this racket have so much control? Because of the stiffness. This is a hard racket, and that means that we are the ones who have the control over the ball. In other words, the direction we give to the ball and the speed will be transmitted without the racket almost helping us. But at the same time, this is a handicap. We have to be good enough to be able to squeeze the racket to the maximum. So for that reason, this racket is not the easiest to use, especially because it's not gonna help us in certain shots. And at the same time, it's a physically demanding racket because it weighs 377 grams and has a balance of 27 centimeters. So sometimes I have noticed that it is difficult for me to move it a little bit. Have you noticed that this racket has not any kind of rough finish? I was surprised about that, and also because you are not subscribed to the channel, so why don't you do it? Although it is true that having so many holes and the way they are distributed, we can achieve spin because of this. This racket has a sweet spot located more in the top of the racket that is not the biggest, but when you get to impact there, the result is incredible. Let's go with the second control racket that is the most rounded racket that I have ever seen. And I'm talking about the Wilson Pro Staff. If Roger Federer in tennis uses the Pro Staff for his style of play, in paddle the Pro Staff looks for the same type of player. Not only because with its 14 cm handle you can do the backhand with 2 hands, but because of his huge sweet spot. No matter where you hit the ball, that the ball will get a speed. With its 364 grams and 26 centimeters balance, it is a racket that moves very well. And I will say that this racket is designed for tactical players. It is not a racket that is gonna help us in offensive shots like the smash, because it is quite soft and has a lot of ball output. But when we want to do a smash or a powerful volley, this racket fails. A solution could be to choose a harder version of this Pro Staff that actually exists. But if you have a problem with your arm or you just like to prepare the point and defend, this racket is an interesting option. But if you wanna get a racket with which you can attack without losing control, wait until you see the 5th one. But for the moment, let's go with the third control racket, that it is used by one of the players that has more control of all. I'm talking about Coqui Nieto and his StarV Basalto. This racket is one of StarV's best-selling rackets for its good performance both in defense and attack. This is the version with soft 30 rubber, and unlike the Aquila Soft, I have had better sensations. Honestly, I don't know if it's because of the combination between the carbon fiber and the basalt. Because remember, the Aquila only uses 3K carbon, and this model, this StarV Basalto, combines carbon fiber and basalt. What the heck is basalt? It's a type of rock that I don't know how it will be implemented in the racket, but I can imagine it will be more a marketing element than anything else. This unit is quite heavy with 383 grams and 27 centimeters of balance, but I have not felt that it is as difficult to move as the Speed Pro X, because honestly, on court, this racket works very well. On bandejas and volleys, you feel that this racket is not just for defense. It has that spicy for when you need it, and I have not been able to try the hard rubber version that I think I would like even more. There is a curiosity on this racket. If you look at the frame of it, there are some coordinates. Will they be those of Coqui Nieto's house? Jokes aside, there is one thing that I might change from this racket, and it's the finish of it. Being glossy with a rough relief, I have the feeling that the ball slips more than normal. Something I do like is the grip, 12.5 centimeters in size and thin, which is something that is difficult to see today if you don't remove the factory grip. We move on to the fourth control racket, that is the top's bubble control racket called Counter Viper. This racket is used by Virginia Riera and honestly I'm not in love with it. I think I made a mistake choosing the Viper version instead of the Venom version, because the Viper is the stiffer model of all of them. And with the cold weather in Madrid, to my taste, it has become too stiff. This racket has dual density rubber, although I don't know if the soft rubber is located on the outside or inside. Bull Paddle does it one way and StarV, for example, in another. But it is true that this Counter Viper in defense moves really well. You never feel that you are late to a ball because of the racket. Actually, this racket agility reminds me to the Air Veron. But when I wanted to add speed to volleys or víboras, there I noticed a point to be improved. It's not the best racket to be able to transmit all the speed you want, similar in this case to Wilson's Pro Staff. I could categorize them as tactical or contention rackets, as they are more about volume of play than offensive rackets. But now, let's find out which is my favorite control racket of this 2023 season. First is a racket used by a top player. Second, this racket has customization options. And third, this racket works really well when you want to add speed to the ball. I'm talking about Alex Reed racket, the Adidas multi-weight control. I have previously tested the attacking version of the multi-weight and this racket is very similar but even more maneuverable. The balance goes down from 26.5 cm of the attack version to 26. And the weight is the same, it goes from 369 grams to weight 5 grams less to 364. And remember that these weights are with all the screws on. Because remember that this model allows you to modify the weight and the balance with its 13 screws. Since the screws are on and the racket doesn't feel heavy, I let them on. Both rackets use the same 18K carbon and the same Adidas rubber as indicated by the red cap. And once again we have the same problem with the grip, with the handle. It is too small with 11 cm and thick, and the string more of the same, short and thick. But on the court, this racket works so amazing. It is not as hard as the Speed Pro X, so this racket does feel like it helps a bit on certain shots. I especially notice it on defense at slower speeds. But even with that help, I don't feel that the ball gets out of control. Even though the racket is round, it works very well on overhead shots. And the main reason why I chose this instead of the Speed Pro X is its agility. It is very well balanced and I feel agile when blocking or in volleys, for example. Pay attention because before the Black Friday, this racket cost 400 euros. That was more expensive than even Alejandro's Galan racket. But with the Black Friday discounts, I have seen it sold for less than 200 euros. So now with that price, this racket for me is very complete and highly recommended for someone who wants to have the maximum possible control, being able to move the racket well and looking to attack at the same time. These are the 5 best control paddle rackets of 2023 season in my opinion. But probably you have tried one that I didn't include it on this video and you simply love it. So write in the comments that racket that you love and I forgot to include it. I have tried rackets inspired by tennis legends like the Pro Staff. I have tried rackets that in their softer versions stand out more like the Counter Viper. I have tried rackets with maximum control but at the same time difficult to handle like the Speed Pro X. And I have tried very complete rackets such as the Basalto and the multi-weight control. Which racket do you like the most? Leave it in the comments. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe and see you in the next one. Ciao!